Merry New Year!
Happy New Year. In this country, we say Happy New Year.
Ha 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 ha! Thank you for correcting my English, which stinks.
And now, it's time for another episode of the 12-Man Fan Jam Show. A show made by 12s from around the world, for 12s around the world. I'm Mazette, and here's your host and my dad, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Welcome, 12s, to episode 424 of your 12-Man Fan Jam Show as your 2016 NFC West Division champion Seattle Seahawks get ready to take on the San Francisco 49ers. So sit back, relax, grab a desired beverage or sin of your choice, and remember, nothing gives greater joy than playing the 49ers. Let's meet our posse for this episode, of course. First, from merry old England, my partner in crime and yin to my yang. Welcome, Matt. Hi, Matt.
Good morning, Moses. How are you?
Wonderful. How are you?
Well, it is officially the 31st of December over here in Britain at the moment. So, literally every celebrity on the planet, as far as I'm concerned, has got 22 hours left of 2016 just to know whether or not they are going to pass away right now.
Sad but true. Was Father Christmas nice to you over in England?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't got a chimney, so he sort of just had to sit outside, really.
He knocked on the door. Let me bloody in.
No, he can stay outside. I'm just not letting a big fat man carrying with a beard and a in the house at like the middle of the night with a sack with a red sack. It's not acceptable.
That voice you heard will be coming up soon, but first, also from the state of Washington, making his 5th appearance in the guest seat, it is our friend Tom Lucas. Hi, Tom.
Howdy, Moses.
How you doing?
Good.
What's new? Was Santa Claus good to you?
Yes, he was.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad.
Any day I can wake up alive, I'm good.
That's right.
Oh,
Amen.
especially
Nothing funny about that. Sorry. It's very true. Very true. And the man who talked about Santa earlier that you heard is our another special guest seat from sunny California. His weekly Game Buzz comic strip is a great weekly feature on the internet. If you've not seen these, you need to. Making his 4th appearance on the show, please welcome our great friend, Mike Pascale. Hi, Mike.
Hey! How you doing, Moses?
How are you, sir?
All right. I tell you, I just got a new job.
Oh, you got a new job. Do tell.
Yes. Being a freelancer, your income stream isn't reliable. So every now and then you need to take on a part-time gig to help pay the bills. Mm-hmm. So I'm now working for Elite Security in Atlanta for the Falcons. I hear the previous guy was a real jerk.
Oh, Jesus.
And for those of you listening who don't know what that is from, you'll have to listen to last week's show.
Listen to last episode,
yeah,
yes. What a wonderful carryover from 423. That was
Lord.
awesome, Mike. Wow.
Thank you.
Woo! That is a hell of a start to the show. Unfortunately, Dustin can't be here. Dustin cannot be here. He is still recovering from his busy weekend he had last weekend, so making a choice. And Will was last seen riding off in the night in a one-horse open sleigh, so I don't know where they are, but we do have a wonderful crew this evening, and let's go ahead and get to the show. It's really like a real NFL game. We have 4 quarters and halftime. First quarter will be news. Second quarter, we'll talk about that Seahawk-Cardinal game, but we do have a very special, funny Caption That Picture, and a look at how we did in last week's predictions. Halftime is the best Seahawk-themed play-along game on the internet. 12-Man Fan Jam Show, halftime trivia. And Dustin is not here to defend his title, so we will see how that goes during this show. Quarter 3, we're preparing for the upcoming game between the Seahawks and 49ers. And quarter 4, we're going to make our predictions. But before we start, like, share, subscribe, please, to the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel. Join our Facebook group, 12-Man Fan Jam Show. We have a game day thread and other things on there. I've started a little pregame thing on there. Also on Twitter at Seahawk Positivity. Email 12manfanjamshow@gmail.com. Let us know your thoughts there. All right, let's get to the news. Yes, news while you are recovering from present overload. It's me and the 12-Man Fan Jam Show News Report. Since Will is not here, I'm taking over the news story. Moses, what do you got for us? Well, Moses, here's the thing. The end of the season is coming up, the last week, and there are many historical things that may or may not happen And one possible historical thing that may happen is something that Reggie Bush probably doesn't want to happen. If Buffalo Bills Reggie Bush doesn't run for 4 yards Sunday, he could make some really sad history. Now, remember, Reggie Bush was one of the biggest college stars in football, number 2 pick overall, 1,000-yard rusher. Unfortunately, not his year. He currently sits at -3 rushing yards heading into the season finale.
Oh my God.
And it gets better. He could become the first back since 1955 to have 10 or more carries in a season and finish with negative yards. So,
Whoa.
yeah.
Not a good award.
No. He has 5 games with positive rushing yards and 3 with negative rushing yards. So, if you are interested in that kind of thing, you might want to watch the Wills, the Wills, or the Bills. The Bills on Sunday, and I certainly hope they give him at least 20 carries to try to break that. But not the kind of record you want, is it, Mike?
I wouldn't want that record, even if no matter what kind of record player I had.
Maybe a 45 for that one.
I'm trying.
But you all know. Yeah, I know. I tried to set you up. Matt, what kind of record would you hold in football if you played?
Oh God, I would be the. I'd have to be something like. I'd have to be something. Oh, this is. There's all sorts of things going on, technological wise going on at the moment. I'm not quite sure what's happening at the back there.
Run for your life!
I don't know. We're having some sort of like major outage somewhere. Something's happening. What records would I hold? I don't know. I'd probably be the campus center ever. I think that would be the best one. See, but if I was Reggie Bush, I would take that record because no one else is going to get it for like 50 years. So you are going to be the holder of something.
Yeah. Well,
because you're not going to get anything else with the Bills, are you? So you may as well hold something.
Well, and you're not going to. I mean, no one's going to think Reggie Bush of all people would hold that record either, because 1,000-yard rusher. He's a good ball player. I mean, you go Reggie Bush. There's no way.
Do you know what, Mose? I'd actually go better than that. If they handed me the ball, I would just turn around and run backwards for another low yardage, just to make that number even worse.
You remember when Westbrook late in the season we went to score and he sat down at the 1 so that they could run the clock out? That'd be Reggie. Get the ball and just like kneel.
Sitting there, just go sit here.
I want the record.
Love it.
Well, another record, or maybe a record, is what Giants defensive end Oliver Vernon did, and this is just kind of in passing, but I thought this was interesting. He just signed a 5-year, $85 million deal with the Giants, and he gifted every member of the team, actually 20 coaches and 75 players, with a bottle of Louis XIII cognac, which is $3,000 a bottle.
Oh my God.
Times 75. That means a lot of money he spent on some people.
How much is it worth?
$3,000 a bottle for 75 players. I'm sorry, 75 players and 20 coaches. That's almost 100. And other people in the organization.
That's like $250,000.
Yes!
These players are paid too much, people.
This guy, yeah.
Paid too much.
And in relationship, in Colin Kaepernick sneezed in a Kleenex and gave it to his offensive line. Sorry. Now, our final story this evening is a little of a award I've never given out, but I want to. It's to the saddest franchise in the NFL this year, and there were so many to choose from. Of course, the 49ers, that's an easy target. We didn't even put them in the top 3, but third place for me as the saddest NFL franchise was the Browns because, well, they're the Browns. But to me, there were 2 franchises actually sadder this year than the Browns, and one was the Chargers. And the reason I put the Chargers on here, despite the the wonderful security they have, is when you have to practice a home game with noise because you anticipate that there'll be more people for the other team in your stadium than your own.
Ooh, yeah, that's
sad.
Not good.
And they lost to the Browns, so that makes them to me worse than the Browns anyway.
Oh yeah, because that will never be erased.
No,
they stopped the Browns from tying the Lions' record.
Exactly, and they lost to the Browns. And when they were home, they had to pipe in music before the Raiders game, which is just sad. That's pretty sad. But the saddest franchise this year, and our award-winning team goes to the Minnesota Vikings, and here's why.
Oh.
Yeah, here's why. Let's recap the Vikings season, shall we? Okay, let's start at the beginning, and then we'll go to what happened last Friday. Now, in August 30th, quarterback Teddy Bridgewater suffered a non-contact knee injury. Remember, it was non-contact during training camp practice. And, I mean, it blew. Their quarterback's gone before the season starts. So, that forces them to trade Sam Bradford and give up a first and a fourth for Sam Bradford, which I think,
it's just overpriced.
Yeah. It gets better. Now, the season just starts, and you say, well, it's okay. We've got Adrian Peterson, right? I mean, we've got Adrian Peterson. All-pro running back Adrian Peterson. 2 weeks into the season, he suffers a torn meniscus. Now, he undergoes surgery, and he comes in back in mid-December, but he likely rushed it because now he may not play this Saturday in a game against the Green Bay Packers. So he probably blew that. But, when we last left this team, we last even thought about this team was, of course, when their kicker, Blair Walsh, missed a field goal in the playoffs. And he had kept missing. He missed 4 field goals and 4 extra points before they released him after 9 games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What took him so long?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, November 2nd. They're still playing football. The Vikings are struggling to move the ball. Offensive coordinator Norv Turner just gets up and quit.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Right? It gets worse. 3 weeks later, the team announces head coach Mike Zimmer, who I really like. I got to be honest with you. Mike Zimmer has to undergo emergency eye surgery.
That's right.
And is not on the sideline for an important Week 12 game against the Cowboys.
That's right.
But even through all that, you say, well, it's no big deal. Well, it is, because here's what happens. Last Friday, if you missed it, the Vikings team plane slid off the runway at Appleton, Wisconsin International Airport as it was taxiing after a safe landing. There were no injuries, but the Vikings players, coaches, and staff were stuck on a plane for over 4 hours, unloaded 1 or 2 at a time via a fire truck bucket. And they said, why a fire truck bucket? Well, apparently, according to Delta officials, they ruled out the slide because safety concerns, especially with well-compensated athletes, which is weird because, you and I probably couldn't get out of the slide, but these guys could.
People go down them slides when they need to, really in a hurry.
Exactly.
Would you saying, like, if that plane had burst into fire, would they be like, no, you must sit put, and let me get a fire bucket thing.
Now, meanwhile, Paul Allen, ironically, is the name of the guy who does the radio. His name's the radio voice of the Vikings is Paul Allen. Okay. He travels with a team, and he wrote out on Twitter, "We boarded buses around 1:30 p.m. 48-minute flight to Appleton. It's 9 bleeping p.m. How's your day going?" Which I thought was pretty good. They didn't get off the plane until midnight. They were on the tarmac for over 4 hours.
And they're millionaires.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the saddest franchise in the NFL 2016, the Minnesota Vikings. And that's about all I got to say about that.
Wow.
Goodness me. The thing is, like, you don't hear a lot about that on like NFL.com and stuff. You don't see, you don't get that all listed out the way you just listed it out. So you don't appreciate just how terrible their season is being.
And it's sad because I have a friend who's a Viking fan, so I kind of watch the Vikings because he's a really great guy, and he always supports the Seahawks, and I support the Vikings kind of on the side, And I feel for him because, going this year, we're like, man, we might meet for the championship. We're all excited. And then this happened. And that's another thing. They had, one thing the Chargers and the Browns didn't have that these guys had were lofty playoff expectations, right, Mike?
Sure. Oh, yeah. They were predicted to go to the Super Bowl.
Sure.
By some people.
And I would not have called them crazy.
They still could. They can get seats and stuff, so they can still sit there and watch it.
That's true. Good point.
How true. Well, that is the end of the first quarter.
It's the end of the first quarter, bitches.
All right, coming up on this episode of the 12-Man Fan Jam Show, lots of show, halftime trivia, but coming up next, we look back at that game against the Cardinals. We'll be right back. And now the 12-Man Fan Jam Show proudly presents another installment of Statsman Mark's Remarks.
Hey everybody, this is the Statsman coming at you with his remarks concerning the game against the Arizona Cardinals. That there was plenty at stake, and we just dropped this game, and it's really inexcusable, even given the injuries and even given what happened. One heck of a comeback, though. I definitely will acknowledge that. And so we see glimpses. This game captured a lot of what's been typical about this season. We see glimpses of the Seahawks team of the Super Bowl years, especially that first Super Bowl season in 2013, where they stick with it, they get after it, and they close and they finish the deal. This season and even last season to an extent, they no longer are able to do that. They are wildly inconsistent on offense, and the defense just coughed up 20 points in the fourth quarter, to the Cardinals. And so it's all three phases or four phases of the game, including coaching, offense, defense, special teams coaching. And this was a complete team loss. And it's very disappointing.
Holy shit, it's the second quarter.
Yes, welcome back to the second quarter of episode 424 of the 12-Man Fan Jam Show. Sadly, Tom has been abducted by aliens, so or Dustin, man. Or Dustin, something about a toy recall and grabbed him. I don't know what happened there, but very sad but true. Also sad but true, we have to take this quarter to review last week's loss to the Cardinals, 34-31. Yeah, I know. We'll try to be painfully quick about this, or painlessly quick about this, I guess. And not a great game, especially the first half. Offensively, this team just looked like there was no offensive line at all. How many times we saw two or three guys right in Russell's face the minute he took 3 steps back was just really horrible. But they seemed to right to ship the second half a little bit better. Matt, what are your thoughts offensively about this game, especially in the second half?
Well, you just said it, offensive line. I mean, the thing is, you cannot have... I mean, you've got a mobile quarterback, so, that's good. He's mobile, he can get about, he can do stuff. But he's not, he can't run through people. He's not ethereal, he's not a ghost. So he can't just sort of go 3 steps back and always manage to get out of things. And to be honest, the offensive line may as well have sat on the sidelines. For all the good that they were doing in terms of blocking, in terms of being able to disrupt the blitz and disrupt the rush. It was frustrating. Now, look, we are all Seahawks fans. We've been Seahawks fans for a very long time. This should not be a surprise to any of us, okay? But being a Seahawks fan, occasionally, it's really, really, really frustrating, okay?
Oh yeah,
This is one of those occasions, everybody. All right. So put it into context. Think about the other eras and other games in the past which were really crappy. Put this one in a box next to them, and keep it there. Don't dwell on it, people. Mm-hmm. We had some good offense. We did manage to move the ball in the second half. I'm annoyed that we weren't able to get the ball into the end zone on that fourth and trying to get. No, I'm not right. Tell me if I'm wrong here, Dennis. But if you are a 5'10" quarterback, right? How the hell are you going to jump over a lineman in front of you to get into the end zone?
That's the first time that I actually fell a little bit off the Darren Bevel bandwagon. Not that I was on his bandwagon, but people calling for Bevel, blah blah blah. When you run okay, let's set this up. Cardinals are one of the best defenses in the NFL. Yep. Your offensive line hasn't had any push forward the whole game.
Nope.
And you have your 5'10" quarterback try to sneak 1 yard right up the middle after everybody's all clogged together. What the heck was that?
What the hell was that all about?
Maybe it was from the Super Bowl. All the criticism got to him.
Maybe it was.
Run the ball, go to the edge, do something like that. Do you know what? That would have been a play call. But try and jump over line in front of you and get a yard with a 5'10" midget?
Well, and the worst part, Matt, was not just that. We had it first and goal at the 1.
Yeah.
Don't get it in. They get the ball gifted us to the 7.
Yeah.
And we still don't get it.
Still don't get it in. Now, that's the offensive line, even in that red zone type of area, Russell wasn't particularly rushed a lot. During some of those plays, people weren't able to get free and they weren't able to run the ball. Establishing the runner, and I can't remember whether the rules was out at this point. I'm assuming it was.
Yes.
But establishing a running game has been incredibly inconsistent this season, and injuries get in the way of that, and other things have, personnel things have got in the way of that, and you just have to accept that. But my goodness, what a stark difference when you had number 24 on the team that would just take all of those players and push through them, and we'd have a completely different game on our shoulders. What I will say though, and this is towards the end of the points about offense. Really, I don't think we used Jimmy Graham enough. When we did use him, he seemed incredibly effective. We just weren't using him, and I don't know why that didn't happen. But let's just keep in mind, fourth quarter, 1 minute to go, and the score is even. So actually, the whole of the game, the whole of the quarters before that point really don't matter anymore. It's become almost like a playoff situation where everyone starts from 0-0. Do you know what I mean? We're now tied. So the only thing that we really need to... Now, yes, Hauschka really should have made that extra point so we weren't tied. Yes. I'm going to put that out there. But nevertheless, it didn't happen. Had he have done that, what really had to happen was the defense had to hold. But I tell you what, we do have some issues on our defense. I'll let Mike talk about that. But I think that at the end of the day, offense did manage to score points. They did manage to move the ball. They did manage to get things done, in spite of having an offensive line that was operating like a railway station barrier. And just letting people through, however, and in spite of the injuries that we suffered, of course, Lockett's broken leg and Rule shoulder injuries and all the others. So, we need an offensive line. That's got to be established from that game and from every other game we've seen almost the entire season. But this game really should have been stopped at a draw, at least, to go into overtime by defense, and that didn't happen, and that worries me.
And that is where we transition to the defense, exactly. Somebody, I heard Mike said this best on the internet. They said, if you're Seattle and you score 31 points at home, you should expect to win that game.
Yes.
And I think they should have. Now, that being said, what did you think of the defensive performance overall? And what are some big issues? We're playing the 49ers, then we're going into the playoffs. What are some big issues defensively, Mike, that you see about this team?
Well, obviously, what I see is the coverage, as far as you don't want to give up those big plays. When they gave up that, what was it, an 80-yard touchdown?
Yeah.
I don't know if somebody blew a coverage or it was the fact that Thomas wasn't there. And, but I hear good things about Terrell, or Terrell, however you pronounce his last name. But he's Earl was the backbone of that defense. But, Cam was out for a while, and we didn't do that great, but we still managed to win some games. And this team just will find a way to keep themselves in the game. So no matter how bad the score was, they came back, like Maddie pointed out, and they tied it. But they have to close it. And that's the difference between this team and the Lions, which is my hometown team.
Well, and this team and the former Seahawk teams as well.
Yeah, exactly. Because remember last year, and especially the year before that, they get into these situations where they had a big lead and they gave it up, or they were down and they came back and they just would eke out that win at the last minute or last 2 minutes, the cardiac kids type of a thing.
Right.
But now it's like I'm just getting worried that, Averill has been a maniac. He's been setting team records and stuff. And Bennett just got an extension and for his hard work. But I hear Bobby Wagner's been setting a record, but it just seems like they're not doing it all at once like they used to.
Well, I just honestly think that the thing about Earl Thomas is his speed back there was able to compensate some mistakes and some things. And now, Terrell isn't as quick as him, and I think we're paying for it. And for the first time in a long time, I'm worried about a couple things on this team. And one of the things I'm worried about going to playoffs is, I'll be honest, it's 23. He has not stood up. I don't expect to be Earl Thomas.
No,
but we're losing so many big plays out there deep that something's got to give. And I'm concerned about that going into the playoffs because if we're playing a team with a great quarterback that can see that, and Carson Palmer's no slouch, and get 70, 80-yard pass play where Thomas would have been there at least to stop them from scoring, if nothing more. I'm really concerned about this, and I think that this Earl Thomas thing might be a lot bigger than we really wanted to talk about at the time.
Yeah. Well, especially if we meet the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
They have weapons, and the quarterback knows what he's doing. Even though he's a rookie, he's been doing great. You got to take that long play away from them.
Mm-hmm. And our offensive line back to offense, that's a concern too against any playoff team because they're going to have a really good defense.
Yeah.
I think personnel in general is an issue, and this is one of the things. Now, playoffs and division champions, congratulations, us, big whoop-de-doo. But as far as when it gets to Super Bowl Super Bowl time and going through the playoffs to get to the Super Bowl, we are personnel shy right now, and that worries me. Now, when I'm seeing a sign, was it running backs and all other things? I don't know why we sign running backs all day long for as long as you like, but actually we're going to need some stiffness in the offense as far as protecting Russell Wilson is concerned. So I hope they can all block because that's what I'm going to need them to do. But there's some basics that are also seem to be going wrong. The snaps, we had one bobbled by Wilson. We had one that was snapped so high that they had to jump 40 foot in the air to catch it, and then had a muffed punt as a result of it. Yes. We had. Another ball that was bobbled to Stephen Hauschka, which made him kick it off and miss that point. There's some very basic football skills which seem to be lazy, slouch. I don't know what's happened to them, sloppy.
I think you brought that up. That's a great point. To me, the kicks missing are not because of Hauschka, not because of Ryan.
No, they're not.
It's the snaps.
It snaps. Look at them, and I tell you what, and I get really fed up actually listening to some fans say, Hauschka's not any good anymore, and I'm like, do you know what? Shut up. Hauschka has won more games for us than any other player on that team bar none. So you can all shut up and go away. But what you want to do if you're a proper fan is have a look at how those balls were snapped before he kicked it, and you can see that they are bobbled. They're not set right. They're high. They're the very basics of getting the ball in position for a special teams player to be able to do whatever he needs to do is not happening. But the best one to watch is certainly that blocked punt, because you can see that Ryan is literally having to fly himself well in the air to get that ball. Basic skills need to, and at the end of the day, that's a practice thing. That's a case of I want you to snap 500 balls today, and every single one has got to be perfect.
Well, and it was also a case of cutting salary cap by letting a veteran like Clint Gresham go.
Clint Gresham go, absolutely.
Which is why we're paying for that now. And moves like that, we lost Super Bowl 40, in my opinion, because we lost our starting safety, and then our second string safety, who had been playing first string all year and doing a pretty nice job. We talk about the refs, but one of the factors in the Super Bowl loss against the Steelers was the fact that our third string safety was back there, and they scored 3 touchdowns on 3 big plays. And to me, that was because Manuel, and who was replacing Hamlin, wasn't out there. And you get exposed in the playoffs when you don't have an offensive line, when you have a backup safety in 23, when you have a snapper who can't get the ball where it needs to be. These things cost you playoff games. So they better be careful going into playoffs.
Yep. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
But this is just to start wrapping up, I suppose, it's a frustrating game. I'm putting it in the same box as the Falcons game, which, where we had seconds left on the clock and we still managed to lose, we lost that one as well. So I'm sort of, it's frustrating, but it's actually, we can all look back at this season from start to finish and see gaps where all of a sudden things started to become unraveled, and every single one of them is linked to a personnel injury or a dropout. And you can start to see where we really did rely on Earl Thomas, we really did rely on Lockett's speed, we really did rely, you can start to see where suddenly this is fraying. What's annoying me though is that we're not adjusting, and what I mean by that is you can't just use Graham once or twice in a game. You just can't. The bloke's on fire. That ball needs to be sent to him as often as possible.
Absolutely.
What is he? He's 9 foot tall, for crying out loud. He's going to power through. He got to the end zone as well in that game as a result. So we're not adjusting. We're still trying somehow to establish a run, or we're still trying. And do you know what? Stop it. Adjust. Use the tools you have, and stop trying to use the tools that are sitting in the injury room.
Yep. Well said, Mike. Any final thoughts?
Maddie pretty much espoused everything I was thinking. do. I mean, there's a difference between confidence and faith. I have huge amount of faith in the team. It's just my confidence has been shaken a little bit these last few weeks. Because I just want... Remember, this is the same team that put up, 40 points against Carolina.
Right.
Who was the NFC champion last year. I want that team back.
Yeah.
For next week. That's all
And
I'm
as
saying.
a consistency, as consistent as they've been this year, we might get either one next week and in the playoffs. That's hopefully they will be a little bit more consistent. But speaking of consistency, one bit of news we did have was the extension of Michael Bennett. 3 years extension, which just happened right before we got on air today. But that topic is a little relevant as we go to this week's Caption That Picture. All right, as you look at the Caption That Picture, which was taken way before the extension for Michael Bennett, it is Michael Bennett and Bruce Arians in somewhat of an embrace, if you want to call it that. Matt, do you have? Can you caption that?
I do.
Okay.
I do. So this is Bruce Arians. So show me how you do the pump thing, because even though we beat, hold on.
Sorry, go ahead. Do it again.
Premature. It's just
Start over.
Goodness me. So show me how you do the pump thing, because even though we beat you today, I still need help with my contract.
There it is.
I like that.
That drummer's on Ritalin or something. I don't know.
Ritalin.
Mike, you got a couple, right?
Yeah. So
Caption-
my first
caption
one
that
is, you sack my quarterback again, and I'll deflate your Patriot brothers' balls.
Oh, nice.
Boom, boom.
The Malcolm Butler joke. Thank
Yeah,
you.
very good. And
Oh, and my second one is, wow, that's quite an extension you got there.
beautiful.
It's a little close for my taste.
A little closer. I have two also.
All
The
right.
first one is they're both obviously they're Arians talking. The first one he says, "I see an extension in your future. Don't sign it, please."
I like that one.
And last but not least, hey, when you play San Francisco next week, be sure you don't get this close to Chip Kelly. He's a butt grabber. All right. And now it's time for the 2-minute warning.
Holy shit, it's a 2-minute warning.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Very good.
2-minute warning. And we have to look at our predictions and all that fun jazz. Prediction challenge. Scores, 3 points to Matt, Tom, Statsman, Mark. 1 point to me for 34-24. That's pretty close.
Nice.
Prognostications, 3 points to Matt and Tom. Game balls, 2 points to Tom and Mark. Ty Turner for Baldwin, who just had a monster game. We didn't even talk about that. 7 catches, 100 million yards, touchdown. Over, under. It was the over. So Moses, Matt, Dustin, Statsman, Mark, and Mike Pascale all got 2 points, meaning the scores for this week look like this. Matt with 8, Tom with 8, Statsman, Mark with 5. I know, Matt.
Can
Mark,
you go a
I
little
know
slower
you.
when you say that? Because when my name is first at any of these, I just like you to take a little bit of time, just so I can savour it, so that I'm not at the bloody
Hey,
end of
kids,
this with 2
Matt didn't
points.
suck last week. All right. I'm not going anywhere else with that. Individual scores through the Cardinals game. Jose, 68. Little Mo, 56. Mike Pascale, 46. Third place. Tom, 45. Mark Ty Turner, 44. And then there's Team Posse. Dustin with 34. Matt with 34. Will with 33. Statsman Mark with 33. And Moses with 30. I'll point this out. If you take us as two separate teams, which you might as well at this point, and on our team, 4 points are separating all 5 of us, which is very interesting going in this final score thing. So, because the team scores are just not even worth talking about. Team 12, 259. Team Posse, 164. Yeah. So there's that. We just have to make up 90 points this week. All right. That's the end of the second quarter.
Holy shit, it's halftime.
It's halftime. Coming up, a lot more show. Will the Seahawks win Sunday? Will Chip Kelly? Who? Hey,
Kip Chili.
will that
Chip
coach?
Kelly.
That coach
I
in
like
San Francisco, will he still be a head coach after halftime? Will somebody tell the Niner fans it isn't the 1980s?
It's like some weird Italian artist from the bygone age, isn't it?
All these answers and more just around the corner, but first, it's another edition of 12-Man Fan Jam Show Halftime Trivia. Coming up.
Up the world!
Next!
Hi, I'm Rosette, and you're listening to the 12-Man Fan Jam Show.
Yes, it's halftime, and welcome to another fun-filled edition of the best play-along Seahawk-themed trivia game show on the internet. It's time for 12-Man Fan Jam Show Halftime Trivia. And here's your host, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity. Yes, thank you, me, and welcome to another edition of 12-Man Fan Jam Show Halftime Trivia.
Up the world!
The trivia game that tests the knowledge of both our posse and our listeners. Our contestants are the posse themselves, Matt and Mike, and here are the rules. So here's how the trivia game works. There'll be 2 rounds of questions. Each contestant answers 1 question each round. If they get it correct, they get 1 point. After 2 rounds of questions, there'll be a final trivia question worth 2 points. If there's a tie after that, then the tie players go on to a special secret overtime question where the winner becomes reigning 12-man Fan Jam Show Trivia Champion and also gets a prize chosen especially for them. As an added bonus to those listening on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel, the questions and possible answers will be displayed on your screen so you, the viewer and listener, can play along as well. If you do, please let us know how you did on the questions. Remember, there's no Googling, no phone a friend, and please, no wagering. However, there is a lifeline. Before taping this show, my 2 charming Seahawk fan children, Mosette and Little Mo, did take the quiz as well. If the contestants want to know what the kids said, they can ask that but once and only once during the entire game show and only in the first 2 rounds. Now let's get ready to play 12-Man Fan Jam Show Halftime Trivia. All right, gentlemen, you know the rules. Once for your group of questions, since there's just 2 of you, it will be 3 questions. Once during those 3 questions, you can ask what the kids said before you answer. And then, of course, you get a point for each question. But since there's just 2 of you, there are 3 questions. And 2 questions that you'll have are about the Seahawks and the 49ers. But one of them will not be that way. There will be a different question with kind of a sad theme. So, since Mike is our guest, I will ask Mike. Mike, are you even or are you odd?
Oh, I'm definitely odd.
Mike is odd. All right, that means that
And
Matt...
I'm evil.
You're evil.
Oh,
All
even.
right.
Sorry, even.
Here we go. All right. Mike, your first question. Oh, yeah, okay. Mike, your first question is this.
7.
It's about Carrie Fisher. Rest in peace, Carrie Fisher.
Oh.
So we dedicated a couple questions tonight to Carrie Fisher. And my first one is, who did Carrie Fisher actually marry at one time? Was it Art Garfunkel, Paul Simons, or James Taylor? And dance! Who did Carrie Fisher once marry? Was it Art Garfunkel, Paul Simon, or James Taylor?
Oh my God, I used to know this.
She was engaged to Dan Aykroyd, but I don't think they ever married.
Oh.
I got to go with Paul Simon.
You got to go with Paul Simon. I mean, it's Paul Simon, right?
Yeah.
Well, Mosette went with Art Garfunkel. I think she just... When I said the name, she laughed. So
You love the name, yeah.
Yeah. Little Mo with James Taylor. You went with Paul Simon. Yes! Paul Simon!
Woo!
And
Just for a
Carrie
year.
Fisher were married.
Only for a year.
Yeah, but they were
Very
married.
short wedding.
And Mike is on the board. Okay, Matt. Here you go. Matt, your question obviously is... Well, no, not obviously. Your question is a football question.
Okay.
The last time the Seahawks lost in San Francisco, how many total sacks did both teams have combined? 2, 3, or 4? How many sacks? 2, 3, or 4?
Combined?
Combined, both teams. Total sacks. Last time the Seahawks lost in San Francisco, which was a couple years ago.
All right. And what are the options again?
2, 3, or 4?
Combined. I'll go with 4.
All right, Mosette went with 3. Little Mo went with 4. You went with 4. Yeah, it's 4!
Yeah.
Oh, what a battle we have this evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's 1-1. Mike, the good news for you, the rest of your questions are football questions. So here we go. Mike, here's your question. The first time the Seahawks lost in San Francisco was 1985.
My God.
Yeah. That's the first time they lost in San Francisco. How many times was Dave Craig sacked? 2, 3, or 4? How many times was Craig sacked in 1985 against San Francisco? You know this, Mike. It's right there. Dance!
I'll go with 4.
Why not?
Well, because it
Right.
was their Super Bowl year, right? Didn't the Niners win or
Yeah,
something?
I believe it was, yes. Mosette said 2. Little Mo said 4. You said 4. Oh, boy, I tell you. You guys.
I'm on a roll!
Nobody's missed one yet. We go to question 4, and the stakes get higher and higher.
Ask Matt a question about inches.
No,
Oh, I know.
kills those.
I know all about inches.
He knows this.
This is not a problem.
That's true.
Matt knows all about inches. All right. He doesn't know much about feet.
No, that's true. I don't do feet.
Matt, the first
Yes.
time the Seahawks, I love this question. The first time the Seahawks won in San Francisco was 1979.
Really?
Yeah. Hey, they had a running back in San Francisco in 79 by the name of O.J. Simpson. You heard of him?
Oh my God! If
Yeah.
the glove doesn't fit, you must
Yes.
have quit.
Here's my question. In 1979, how many touchdowns did O.J. Simpson have over the Seahawks? 1, 2, or 3? How many touchdowns O.J. Simpson, end of his career
Oh
in San
well.
Francisco?
Let's give him 2.
Let's give him
Oh, actually,
2.
I tell you what, hold on. Can I take that back? No, I can't.
Yeah.
I've already said it. No, because I was going to ask the kids, but then do you know what? It's
You wanna ask the
1979. I'll ask the kids, but it's 1979. So what the hell they know?
All right, well, Little Mo said 1 and Mosette said 3, and you said 2. So is that
2.
you did it?
So I'm going to
All
split
right.
the difference and go 2.
So you're going 2 anyway.
Yes.
And
Ah.
it's 1. Little Mo knew that. Yeah, Little Mo knew that. Mike, question 5. The last time the Seahawks won in San Francisco, which I believe was that last year? Yeah. How many turnovers did the Seahawks have in the win? 1, 2, or 3? 2, 1, 2, 3.
How many touchdowns they had in the win?
How many turnovers did the Seahawks have
turnovers.
beating the 49ers? Was it 1, 2, or 3?
Oh, that our team had or they had?
Ours that we had.
Oh,
We won
crap.
the game, but how many turnovers did we have?
Oh, I remember that. No, we had 3.
We had 3.
That's 3.
Little Mo says 1. Mosette says 2. You said 3. It was 2.
I knew it. I knew it. I was
Two.
going to change it.
Here we go.
Ah,
Here we go. All right. Your non-football question, Matt, is
Yes.
also about the dearly departed Carrie Fisher.
Ah.
This is going to be an easy question. I think you guys probably get this, but according to Carrie Fisher's novel, The Princess Diarist,
Right.
who did she have a 3-month fling with during the filming of the original Star Wars movie, or A New Hope, if you need to know that? Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, or George Lucas? Who did she have a 3-month fling
I
with?
watched this on the Graham Norton show. It's Harrison Ford, and he was like 34 and she was like 19. I mean, I was like, it's all a little
Wow.
bit weird.
Wow.
But it was Harrison Ford, and she's very embarrassed. But she was very embarrassed about it once it all came out.
You know, I come up with questions all week for this, and you guys come in here and you just throw that stuff out like it's, I'm not even going to, it's, all right, yeah, it's Harrison Ford.
that was too easy.
That was too easy, but it's a
got
tie
freaking Paul
score.
Simon.
The tie score.
Tie score. So, the final question is a high-low.
Okay.
The closest person without going over wins the championship. And we're going to start with Matt, and then we're going to go to Mike. Matt and Mike.
Okay.
All right. If you're both over, whoever's closest, obviously gets the points. Here we go. Matt, your question, and Mike, is this? According to the Carrie Fisher novel, no, I'm kidding. This is about the last time the Seahawks won in San Francisco. Okay? Last time the Seahawks won in San Francisco, how many total yards of offense did the Seahawks have?
Oh.
Total number of yards of offense the last time the Seahawks won in San Francisco. Matt?
Ooh, there's a question.
That's not easy.
No, it's not. Let's have a think about this for a second. Yardage. Okay, I think we'll go for. He would have had. That's really hard. You're an evil.
Carry
you're
the
an evil
two.
man.
Divide by
No,
pi.
because you're an evil man. Because I'm thinking in my head, and all I can really think of
Carry the decimal.
is bacon sandwiches. So I'm gonna have to go for just us. You said us, not San Francisco. Yeah, that's correct.
It's just us, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Total offensive
I'll go
yards for Seahawks.
I'll go for 287.
287. Mike Pascale. How many total
man.
yards of offense did the Seahawks have last time they won in San Francisco?
Yeah, I'm going to go Price is Right. I'll go 289.
Oh, if it was 288, how funny would that be?
Oh, I know.
Well, we do have a winner. The total numbers of offensive yards that the Seahawks had the last time they won in San Francisco was 388.
Wow.
I think
Way
you
low.
that right.
Way too low.
Mr. Big, Mike Pascale with the win.
Well done, Mike.
Congratulations, Mike.
Thank you, sir.
Wow.
Coming from you, it means a lot because you always win.
I always have the answers.
Dustin's
So
kicking my
great.
butt.
Yeah. Wow. Another crowd-pleasing, heart-stopping, award-winning edition of your 12-Man Fan Jam Show halftime trivia. We'll be back after the station ID. Mr. Big, take us out.
Hit it!
Hurtman.
One of these days.
You're listening to the 12-Man Fan Jam Show on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel.
Holy shit, it's the third quarter.
Yes, welcome to the third quarter of your 12-Man Fan Jam Show. Hey, you! Yes, you making New Year's Eve plans. Like or comment on this video. Join us at the Facebook at the 12-Man Fan Jam Show Facebook page. Email us, tweet us, make us part of your Seahawk fix. Do it now before it's too late and 2017 starts. All right, before we start the third quarter, we look at the 49ers and the tail of the tape. I was remiss. Dustin was not here, but he did send in a caption for the Caption That Picture. So we'll just go back real quick to that picture. And his was a little musical. His was Your Mom Says Hi, which, if you know anything about the Lonely Island, it actually comes out like this. Your mom says hi, Jinx. Little trivia for you here. Justin Timberlake and Lady Gaga singing on the same song. Here it is. All right, so that's a little Lonely Island for you there. But
Thank
Your Mom
you,
Says
Dustin.
Hi, Jinx. Yeah. And when he said that to me, I said, oh my God, it's Three-Way. That's the name of the song, Three-Way by Justin Timberlake, Lady Gaga, and Lonely Island. So if you ever would say, hey, here's a trivia question, Justin Timberlake and Lady Gaga have sang on a song together. So there's that. I'm sure that will get you some great popularities at your New Year's Eve parties. Okay. Tail of the tape for this game. Let's move on, shall we, please? Tail of the tape.
Please.
Yeah. The 49ers are 2-13. And the Seahawks are 9-5-1. And the 49ers are near the bottom offensively and defensively. Worst defense in the NFL statistically in the 29th offense. So they have that going for them. All right. I know.
And yet they beat the Rams.
And yet they beat the Rams twice. Go figure. That's it. Just like the Rams can go 2-13 and beat us twice.
Yes.
Yeah. It's time for a key injury to this game. To me, the loss of Lockett is going to be huge for us. I think that's a key injury. I also think Carlos Hyde, who is going to be ruled out, I believe, for this game for the 49ers, because I think Carlos Hyde is a really good running back. And if they don't have him playing, I think that's a big deal. Other than that, I think that's pretty much on the injuries. Of course, we all know the story about Lockett. Sad story that they had to keep showing over and over on the TV, which made me sick to my stomach.
Bastards.
But He broke his tibia and fibia. I know no one's surprised by that, but he seemed in good spirits. Everything's gone according to plan, and hopefully the young man is a young man, so he can heal quickly and come back next year. And hopefully it doesn't affect him. But, we'll just have to see. That was just a really horrible injury. What kind of loss is that, Matt, for the Seahawks losing Lockett?
The return, the kick returns and things like that is absolutely crucial. I think he was a weapon, and he was a weapon that made them want to kick the ball differently. Now that's less so, and that's problematic. I think he's a young guy, newish player, so it's not like he's a leader in the offense or anything like that. I don't think that's the case. But I do think again he was one of those players that forced defenses to look for him. And if he's not on the field, then they've got they can keep looking at Graham and they can keep looking at the others. Yeah. Well, they can look at Graham, or they're like, apparently we don't throw to Graham very often, so they just keep looking at him. But
so hopefully Paul Richardson will step up there as the speed demon.
Yeah, but I don't agree that. Obviously yes, he's a key injury, of course he is, but I actually still think that we go back to the conversation almost with the Cardinals. I think Earl Thomas is still the key injury.
Sure.
Him not being out there is having an effect on our defense. We've lost leadership, we've lost continuity, we've lost that glue that seems to be holding that secondary together. So I hopefully it's not going to be too bad, because as you rightly point out, this is San Francisco. If we can't beat San Francisco, then God help us. But I think that's a much more key injury for me, is still the loss of Thomas.
Yeah, I can go with that. What are your thoughts on Carlos Hyde, Mike? I heard you kind of gasp when I said that he might be out.
Who?
Carlos Hyde, the running back for the 49ers.
Oh, yes.
That guy.
Yeah, that guy. I think it's good, because then it'll give us more chances to sack Kaepernick.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
That means a lot to me. It means
a lot to all of us, Mike.
This will be his last game, I suppose, ever.
Yeah, I guess.
As a Niner.
Well, yeah, before he joins the Browns, in which case he'll never win a game anyway. So.
And you know what I miss? We usually when we play the 49ers, I have a certain soundbite I like to use, and I'm just going to use it now because, sadly, when he leaves, the only quarterback they have on their roster that has any experience is Blaine Gabbert. And, as Ducky likes to say...
His name is Blaine? That's a major appliance. That's not a name.
Good old Ducky. And we can use him because Blaine is not their starter, but maybe we'll get Ducky back next year if Blaine starts for him. Okay, now it's time for our favorite part of the third quarter, and that is the 12-Man Fan Jam Show Game Time Weather Report. With Matt.
Yay.
Matt, what do you got for us?
Hello. Oh, everybody. Right. Okay, focus. It's Santa Clara, people. It's a stadium built in the middle of a frickin' desert. So it's going to be hot. It's going to be damn hot.
How hot?
I'm talking sweat like Niagara Falls rushing between a crack in your ass hot. That's how hot it's going to be.
That's hot.
It's going to be 54 degrees hot. Now, disclaimer, right? Now, that could be cooler than I think it is, because I'm still not all au-fail sorted with those whole Fs and Fahrenheits that you Americans use, so I'm not really sorted with that.
Yeah, 50 degrees isn't all that hot.
But that number seems pretty big to me. But as far as I'm concerned, it could be the surface of the sun hot, for all I know. So, I'm just going to warn you now, it's going to be hot. Okay, sunshine, pure sunshine, hot.
Sorry.
Now,
hot.
Yeah. Now, Edna, we've had a chinwag, we've had a chat. So Edna is now recommending, because of the hotness that I was talking about. It's about 50 million metric trumps. I don't know how hot that is. That's hot. So Edna recommends that actually the whole uniforms for fans on the day should be surfer flip-flops. We're talking Hawaiian shirts in the green and blue theme, of course, with the tie-dyed shorts and an optional boogie board. There's also, because of the fact that, bearing in mind, this is a stadium built by the Yorks, which is in the shape of a giant focused lens, so the sun's going to come in, and it's going to literally cook you inside out all the way through. The reason the thing is empty is not because nobody wants to watch the 49ers, although that's a big part of it. It's also because if you go there, you actually get cooked in like a microwave, and people get carried out. So... you've got to remember, people, you've got to take a sunblock with you. I'm talking factor 300, because remember, folks, you're from the Pacific Northwest, which means that really only chalk has a skin tone similar to yours. So be careful, guys. Think about what you're wearing. Tie-dye shorts, boogie boards. It's going to be hot.
be hot.
It's gonna be hot, damn hot.
As hot as your theme song. Well, you know what's
Kaepernick
funny?
has to wear a shower cap so his hair doesn't catch on fire.
Well, you know what's funny is that we asked for the weather. All right, ladies, enough. Take 5. We asked for the weather in California from a guy in England.
Yeah.
And we have a guy in California right here on the crew tonight.
Then ask him, what does Mike know about the bloody weather? He's drawing things. He doesn't leave a studio. He's got no windows in that studio. There's no windows there. He lives in California. There could be drive-by shootings. He's not going to have windows.
I'm an hour and a half away, but I will tell you one thing. We had there was an earthquake at the Nevada-California border.
Oh.
And my couch moved about half an inch.
When?
About 2 days ago.
Oh, man.
I thought it was really windy outside. Then I realized, well, there's no wind inside the house. So what just made my couch move?
No.
Now, that's exact. Now I've got a little story. I've got to tell you this, Moses, because it's important. Because in Britain, we don't get many earthquakes. Well, we certainly don't get earthquakes like you get earthquakes. When you get earthquakes, all Americans have to do everything big. You can't just have an earthquake like normal people. You got to have like a 7.7 and blow the shit out of things. But in Britain, we had an earthquake. And I tell you now, I was laying in bed. I'd literally just got into bed. I'd had, and all of a sudden, all I can explain it as is suddenly the bed moved in a square type direction and then moved back again. And I was like, what the hell is this bed is moving? And all I kept thinking of was that the curry that I had about an hour before was clearly too strong for me, and something was wrong. And the next thing you know, on the television, it's like, oh my God, we've had an earthquake and 3 tiles have fell off Mrs. Gromit's roof in Hull. You know, we will rebuild. Britain strong. That was the sort of messaging we had.
You know, I know you're not going to believe me, but it's very true. A few years ago, here in Indiana, about 2 a.m, we had planes always fly over our house, and things started shaking, and I thought, man, those planes are really flying low tonight. And I went back to bed, woke up. Hey, did you feel the earthquake last night? I must have, because it woke me up like, it just the whole house shook. Like a plane was going overhead. I'm like, damn, the planes are really getting low tonight. And it was a freaking earthquake here in Indiana, of all things. But yeah. Wow. Sad but true.
Just think of all the people in bed that asked their partner if the earth moved.
Oh. If only.
Don't you, now, Mike, I don't know, because you go through these earthquakes real quick before we get into the Seahawks win this game. But don't you, like, become your dad when it happens? Like, you start shaking, you go, hey, what's going on? Knock it off.
Yes, luckily we don't get them on where I am, but exactly.
Yeah,
that's why it was so foreign.
Yeah, like with that couch. Hey, who moved the couch?
Yeah.
Put that back. All right, let's go on with the 49er game. Matt, the Seahawks win this game if what?
Stop Kaepernick running.
Okay, I think that's a good one. Mike, the Seahawks win this game if?
I would say if they keep Kaepernick kneeling, as in on his knees from being sacked.
Colin Kaepernick knee pads sold separately.
Yes.
And I say the Seahawks win this game if they can keep Russell Wilson from hitting the ground, which I think is very important, especially going into the playoffs. This offensive line has got to gel against the 49ers because it's going to get a lot more difficult. And if they struggle against the 32nd ranked defense, I don't care if they are at home. It's going to be a long playoff season. But, listen, stranger things have happened, and we'll talk about that next week. All right, that's the end of the third quarter.
It's the end of the third quarter, bitches.
Coming up, it's time to make our predictions, prognostications, and game balls for this week's Seahawks 49er game. You're listening to 12-Man Fan Jam Show. Should old acquaintance be forgot in the days of Auld Lang Syne? We'll be right back after this.
Hello, everybody. This is Statsman Mark. And when I'm not listening to Charo's greatest hits on 8-track tape, I'm listening to the 12-Man Fan Jam Show.
And now the 12-Man Fan Jam Show proudly presents another installment of Statsman Mark's Remark.
Hey, everybody. This is the Statsman to talk about the game with the San Francisco 49ers in Levi, down here, 15 minutes away from yours truly. And lo and behold, we face a 49ers team with a one-game winning streak. And isn't that the NFL or the NFC West for you? They have 2 wins, and they swept the Rams. What's to say about this game? I mean, our starters, we are obviously going to go full bore because now we have to. And I think we probably would have had to play our starters regardless in this game. But now we are faced with a must-win situation. I do think that we will win, and I do think by a rather comfortable margin. I'm gonna call this a 33-13 Seahawk win. I think Russell Wilson will throw for 300 yards or more. And I think he will have 3 touchdowns passing. And he will, in fact, get my game ball appropriately enough.
Holy shit, it's the fourth quarter.
Ah, yes, it is time for the fourth and final quarter.
God.
This episode of the 12-Man Fan Jam Show.
Oh, no, mais non.
Oh, mais oui. Oh.
Nom de plume.
Nom de plume. Let us make our predictions, but first we must do a top 3. All right, our top 3 this episode from our office in the 2016 SeaGal calendar comes the top 3 things we learned about the Seahawks this season. Now this is not so much funny as it is just enlightening. If you've learned anything about the Seahawks this season, here are 3 things you should have learned, right? So, for example, number 3, we learned that Thomas Rawls needs to be wrapped in an extra layer of bubble wrap.
Poor Thomas.
That's important. Get some bubble wrap. Top 3 things we learned about Seahawks this season. Number 2, we learned that Russell Wilson does not play offensive line. And that's too bad because $20 million went to not the offensive line. But I'm glad he's there. And I'm glad he's $20 million. He's earned every penny, but he doesn't play offensive line. And the number 1 thing we learned about Seahawks this season, we learned how happy we are that the Seahawks play in the NFC West. All right. Because the rest of the teams weren't that good. Let's take a look at... Yes, you're welcome. I'll be here all week. Tip your waitress. Let's move on to the 49er game. Current line, Seattle 10.5-point favorite. Over-under for our purposes is 43.5. Disclaimer, numbers presented are for entertainment purposes only. Blah, 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 blah. Let's make our predictions. You know how we do the scores. Let's start with Team 12. Little Mo. Little Mo said 40-3. I like Little Mo.
Wow.
40-3, Graham, 100 yards receiving and game ball to Graham. Mind you, he's in second place. Jose's going 26-16, prognostication. Boykin comes in so Russ doesn't get hurt. Game ball to Sherm with an INT since he's Kaepernick's favorite receiver. Well done, Jose. Tom did leave his prediction, 38-10, Seattle with 4 sacks on Kaepernick, game ball to Jimmy Graham. Which leaves Mike Pascale. Mike?
Okay, I'm going to go.
Before you do, it has been so much fun having you on the show. Oh, my God. We've had so much fun.
Oh, yeah. I hope to be here next year sometime.
Yes, definitely. What is your prediction, sir? I'm sorry.
Okay, my prediction is Seattle 23, 49ers 10. And I have my prognostications are that Sherman will have at least 1 interception.
All right.
And even the 49er fans will respect Russell Wilson more when he kneels at the end of the game than when Kaepernick kneels at the beginning.
Oh!
And my game ball goes to Cliff Averill.
All right. Nicely done. Now, Mark Ty Turner did not bring his in, but Mike, you feel as a member of his team that you can give his prediction?
Of course.
Okay.
I actually did a faraway, distant mind meld with Mark. And I feel that his prediction is 49ers 30, Seattle 3. And his prediction is that Kaepernick will have 400 yards passing. And his game ball goes to Kip Kelly.
Because they'll be so happy they won so big, they'll give Chip Kelly the ball.
Exactly,
yes.
Kip Kelly,
well,
though. He's going to change his name.
Kip Kelly.
Kip Kelly. Oh, my God. Someone brought... One time I had combined Bruce Irvin and Robert Turbin in the same guy, and I had Bruce Turbin.
Bruce Turbin. Oh, that's all right.
And yeah. So, and I could never get Miller right. I always called him Heath Miller instead of Zach Miller. But
Zach, yeah.
So now we've got Kip Kelly. For the posse, Statsman Mark 33-13. Wilson 300 yards passing, game ball to Wilson. Dustin 28-13. Seattle with over 150 yards rushing and the game ball to Rawls. And then that comes to Matt. Matt, have a prosperous and wonderful 2017, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very almost there now.
Yes,
This time,
almost there.
I'm closer to than you guys, so I'll go first.
But you're in the future.
In the future, this is my prediction. Okay, so the Seahawks, go big or go home now. To be frankly honest, because I'm done with it. So Seahawks 41, 49ers 10.
Nice.
My prediction is that Colin Kaepernick will be sacked 6 times.
Ooh, I hope so.
But I'm not giving my game ball to a defensive. I'm giving my game ball to Doug Baldwin, who I think is an awesome game.
Awesome. What a great year he's had, too.
Yes,
now,
indeed.
Will isn't here. Matt, would you like to get Will's pick for him?
No, Will has been so pessimistic of late, and you could just tell by the tone of his voice and things. 2016 has not been. It's been a difficult period. So, I had a little mind meld. Also, funnily enough, me and Mike we do the same thing. And this is what he told me, and I'm not sure about this, but I'm going to give it to him. So Seahawks 12, 49ers 49. Now I don't know whether he just got confused with the whole shirts thing and the whole numbers thing, but to be honest, Will's just not all there. So Seahawks 12, 49ers 49. So that's a big loss for us. He also said that Wilson will be sacked 15 times, and he'll be 4 inches shorter at the end of the game than when he started it.
And who's the go to?
The game ball's going to Blaine Gabbert.
Who?
Okay. Blaine?
Blaine? Did you say Blaine?
Blaine? His name is Blaine? Oh, that's a major appliance. That's not a name.
Blaine Gabbert. All right.
But Will doesn't agree, so that's what he's giving his ball to. Honestly, I just don't think he's well. He's not been well.
He has not been well. And neither have I, but I'm going to make a pick too. All right. Well, it's my turn. Gentlemen, I harken back to a simpler and happier time in the off-season when little Mo and I made a very short list of who we as Seahawk fans would want to see coach the 49ers. And there was one name at the top of our list that would bring us the most happiness. And when the brains at Santa Clara made their choice, I ran to Little Mo and I said, hey, the 49ers hired our guy today. And he asked who. And I asked him who he wanted them to hire. And he said very meekly, Chip Kelly. Almost too afraid that dreams actually come true. And I said, yes, son. Yes, son, dreams do come true. They hired Chip Kelly. And we did a victory dance I'll always treasure. The 49ers didn't disappoint us on that day, gentlemen. And they won't disappoint us on this day either. Watch the Seahawks cause 3 turnovers. Watch my game ball, newly richer man, I guess, Michael Bennett, prove his recent extension was worth every penny. And watch the 49ers give a late gift to the Seahawks as the Seahawks win by a score of Seattle Seahawks 31, San Francisco 49ers 13. Oh my goodness. Woo! Well, looks like it's time to bring another wonderful and amazing 12-man Fan Jam show to a sad close. We are so glad that you all decided to waste some time with us. We certainly hope you laugh a little and maybe you learned a little something along the way. And what did we learn after this show? Well, we learned that Mike Pascale has a new job. And his boss is a jerk, apparently. Who knew?
Yes.
Matt looks for stiffness in the offense, and
stiffness in the offense.
Yes, and he knows all about inches. Meanwhile, we learned that Moses thinks the new head coach of the San Francisco 49ers is Kip Kelly. So, on behalf of my partner in crime, Mike Pascale, Tom Lucas, our news hound Shadowhawk Will, Stats and Mark, Dustin as the Beaver, Roger Goodell, Mosette, Little Mo, Guy Lombardo, Ronnie Lott, Buddy Hackett, Sheila McRae, Art Carney. Good night, everybody. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Oh, Kip Kelly, that was awesome. What a great name.
Kelly. You gotta write that down. It's too good.
That was awesome.